Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV, back with another video.
And after that, it was kind of a wrap. Then we did IO, Rapture, Wish You Were Here, Forget the World, Till There Was You, New Order, Satoshi Tomi, Love and Traffic. So it was just kind of like,
those were
for a very long time, we were just kind of running shit.
Those were huge.
New York records.
Those are huge records. And they're still big.
Classics,
so that record, Hide You, was the breakthrough record for you.
That, and to follow it up with Rapture.
Rapture was huge.
Yeah, I mean, that was a radio record too. Yeah. So it's like, once you get to that level, it's like, it's kind of a wrap. It's a done deal.
That record's been remixed a million times.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, like, in today's day and age, like, you know, like records like, say, Rapture is like a classic, right? And you could play it. It's actually not even like a dated sound, like, you know, it's like one of those records where it's like a timeless record.
Right, yeah.
The sound sounds good.
Yeah, tempo-wise, things change, but
that record,
a dope record's a dope record.
So, but do you see that happening with with any records that are coming out today? Like, are there any records that are dropping today where you're gonna say, like, wow, that's gonna be a classic?
Not really. I don't hear much like that, you know? I don't know. It's like, maybe shit that comes out that's gonna be like that, but like stuff on the radio is like, you know, what worked for us is that our records were credible and also commercial. You know what I mean? So a lot of the stuff that comes out now that's on the radio is just straight up commercial. You know what I mean? It's not underground in any way. It's not like, it's formulaic. Our shit wasn't like that.
Now talk to us about the 10.5-minute record.
But the problem that we have is that people are now mixing this whole tech and tech house and techno, but it's really all tech.
Well, Butter Chicken started right here 60 years ago.
Seriously, is there a difference between what they're serving here to what we're serving in the UK?
It is nothing close to what you're gonna get here. I mean, I was shocked that they even call it Indian food. In fact, I have a problem with it. It's not Indian. They put cream and they put sugar into everything, and they think, okay, that's it, that's done. It's not Indian food.
And people have this idea of like, oh, it's all music, we're all together. But when I was growing up, when I was passionate about house music, just original, I went to the clubs. There was dancing. There was a culture that came along with it. Like, you look forward to going and learning the new steps, the names of the steps.
My partner, Enoch Torres, who was probably the best rock dancer I ever saw, bar none. No one even came close. Even the guys we learned from, Mike, Danny, he surpassed all of them. And he just used to just come up with these steps all the time. He created styles. That's how good he was. Not just steps, styles.
That's amazing.
House music was born here in Chicago, and a lot of people in the last few years have been saying, oh, well, Chicago plays nothing but house music and all that. And secretly in the background, a lot of the house artists love the rap.
We wrote the lyrical notes so we thought. I was something dope you can't cope. This is not your average rhyme, too much junk. Your brother plus this sister made a funky.
It's split. The music was two styles. The 4x4 and the syncopation. This is hip-hop, the other was disco. These two movements separated. Rocking went to disco, they went to lofting, freestyle, dale huevo, and then house. Rocking in this side went to breaking. See? But at one time, they were the same dance.
So when I have these discussions with you, right, it's come from a different place. So let me give you an example of the stuff that I used to listen to, the hip hop that I used to listen to. Clip 3, go.
We're just some men that's on the mic, and when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic.
Why? Lottie Dottie, we love to party. We always cause trouble when we guzzle Bacardi.
We're just some men that's on the mic, and when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic.
Yo, Lottie Dottie, we love to party. We always cause trouble when we guzzle Bacardi.
We're just some men that's on the mic, and when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic.
Word bomb. Yo, it's born guard, I survive, Paul. Still real, you know, sex, money, drugs, death, the whole ordeal. Murderers to kill, any demon and ill. Jump in my rocket to the moon, spark a L and just chill. I got
caught in a rage, you get sprayed, prayed over and laid down, pump with the pound. How that sound? That before dishonor, pretty much the studio sound with the city touch. I put dimes on you, commit crimes on you. When I get the drop, you got my shines on you. And that the yacht, so I'ma never get shot.
Okay? That's the stuff. So when you listen to it, it's tough, it's rugged, but it's got, right? It's got melody, it's got influence, it brings back like that emotion compared to what you hear today, which is the slow stuff and whatever. Like that stuff was groovy, even the slow stuff was groovy, right? It had the beat, but it had like sonic. And I was also influenced with George Michael's, Prince, Lionel Richie's, Madonna, what's her name? Cyndi Lauper. All of that stuff. I was exposed to that stuff. Information Society, right? All of that stuff. Air Supply. All of that. I was exposed to all of that. But I lived it. So let's get into the tutorial. But the reason why I say that is because, again, it's going to move into the tutorial of how all of that plays a role in terms of how programming music is important. Okay? When it comes to the science, it's not just, hey, how you put two songs together. It comes from a deeper point of view.
Let's get a little more scientific about that and talk to us, if you would, about what's actually happening either in our brains or to our brains when we're reading a printed page as opposed to a web page on a computer screen.
In essence, our brains adapt to what we use them for, and they adapt to the technologies we use. And so the ways of thinking that we engage in a lot get strengthened, and those that we don't engage in get weaker. So if you think about when you read a printed page, the ways of thinking that in effect you're training yourself to do are the ways that require deep attention, close concentration on one thing. In those types of thinking, it turns out, which are hard to do, I think naturally we like to be distracted, but those very attentive ways of thinking have been associated with the ability to create deep memories in our own minds, to create the connections between information and experiences that give richness and depth to our thought, to certain types of conceptual thinking and critical thinking and even creative thinking. What you have with the net is this persistent state of interruptions that short circuits that deep attentive thinking. But by short-circuiting those more attentive ways of thought, I think you also lose things like deep conceptual thinking, or at least hamper it in deep critical thinking and even deep creative thinking. So there's a cost to this constant inflow, this constant barrage of information that we find ourselves processing more and more today.
So you see, when it comes to understanding the depth, it's not just, hey, we just get this information. It's like, how then do we then internalize this stuff? How do we hold it and remain it? But when we have all of this fast stuff, it makes an issue. And it's not that I'm tooting my horn, but I'm explaining to you why it's important. A lot of these records that I have that I'm showing you right now, I went into my storage. I didn't even know what they were. Okay, I saw them, but but immediately I knew. When I say I didn't know what they were, I mean, I haven't listened to them in like years, like over 10 years. But I'm able to remember the sound that comes out of that record. Because why? Because I'm able to actually read the labels, read everything that comes from it.
Can y'all tell me, and Stretch, especially you, if you could go first, name some records back then and even to this day that a DJ would have that you as a DJ would be like, ooh, okay, I respect that.
Hold on, let me get this right. I'm so bad with this. Like, I gotta see records. I just don't remember titles, but
right. I mean, there's a scene in the Radio Changed Lives of you going through the crates, going through the records and looking at the spine and knowing just the color and the label and the, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a very visual thing.
Right. I would set my records up and they would be, I would know where everything was. Like I could just on instinct by looking at the spines, looking at the rips, looking at the generic 12-inch sleeves and whatnot.
Basically, it's with MP3s. You don't see anything. You see a WAV file. You see a title. The album cover is what made you buy something. The album might not even been that good, but that artwork, it's artwork. The album cover is so important, and it's been important, and it will remain to be important. Everyone got famous off of it. You remember certain album covers, So the visual artists, became famous. The actual artist became famous, So everything went hand in hand and played well together. So album cover is important.
You see what I'm saying to you? So all of that has been embedded for deep understanding. So now, when we talk about mixing funky music, it's because of I'm able to remember subconsciously, hey, this goes with this goes with that.
What James Brown said is that the horn is now part of the rhythm section. It has to be embedded in the fabric. Anything that I try to do, particularly with F Deluxe, is to try to do something that once you've heard it, you can't imagine the song without it.
Yeah.
So I got the song here, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, I have a track that goes with this, and I'm like, I know. And again, if you have a lot of music, and that's why it's important to have a lot of music, right? Because then you can filter out and you'll be like, oh, that goes with what? But it's not only enough to have a lot of music. Like, dude, you have to have that passion. Like, you have to be listening to it. Like, listen, when I'm in the gym, when I'm working out, I'm always listening to my music. Like, I'm always studying it. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's not just going through and then hoping that you're gonna put these things together. The more you listen to your music and old music, and that's one of the problems also. A lot of these DJs only playing new music, or they'll play like an old set with only old music, which is fine, but you need to be able to play old and new.
Tell me why in the hell am I trying to get back up with it? Now if I can't get down, then tell me why in the hell am I trying to get back up with it? Now if I can't get down, then tell me why in the hell am I trying to get back up with it? Hit it.
All right, for instructional purposes, I'm going to move it forward.
Don't wait on it. Put your weight on it. Put it down. Let me wait on it. You gotta put your weight on it.
And watch how everything just combines. And I'm gonna make a musical journey out of both songs. You heard? So how I brought it up? With every transition. Bring it down a little bit. It's still there. Now the sax. This is funky, man. Hear the sax. All right. So, again, that was just an example, but you see what I did there, right? Basically, it was just the fact that I knew that song, and prior to me playing it, I already knew how it was going to fit, right? So again, as you get better, we talked about the bandwidth, right? When you can do, when you can execute certain processes at a more intricate level, it leaves more bandwidth for your brain to think about other processes, other deep and more intricate processes. So because I'm able then to take that track, I can automatically, quickly, because I'm not nervous, my mind is free, so it's not thinking about, oh, the crowd and then this and that. My mind is free to then say, okay, let me just calmly scroll through it and see, okay, where does it start? Okay, so it starts at 1:30, and then it has the in between. Now, if I realize that that was going to clash, or if I'm playing it and it's clashing, what I would do, I would just loop it, or I would loop it, somewhere before, or then I would cut the other one, right, and then loop it in a way. But again, because I have more bandwidth, I have more options that I would have to either modify, loop out, or EQ the other one in order to allow this one to come in. So again, when you have bandwidth, you're able to maneuver and go different directions. It's the same thing with when you're playing soccer, football, international football, right? If you're going here and obviously, you don't see, another player. I'm not a footballer, but you see what I'm saying to you, right? You can automatically, your mind is free enough that you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to then kick the ball over there because I'm going to anticipate that he's going to pass it to that individual, right? So you understand that's the IQ factor of being able to maneuver and go in different ways so that you're not cornered. You're able to use various tools in your toolbox, okay? Now, how then do you string along a set? Again, you start like this, small, and then all of a sudden, you start realizing that your bandwidth gets greater and bigger, and you're able to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks. You can do it in a mix, right? A mix tape or mix CD or mix that you do at home. But then you can also then apply it live as well. The aspect of playing it live and doing it, it's what? Having to be exposed to the live element. Just because you can now, and that's one of the things that I need to talk about. Okay, fine, you're programming, you're doing well when it comes to music. I mean, to programming your DJ sets at home, because you have all the time, and it needs to be beyond reproach. It needs to be perfect because you have all the time. Don't listen to these other folks. Oh yeah, it needs to be on. You're not live, dude. You're at the house. People expect if you're gonna give me a mix, it needs to be perfect. That's why when you had these studio mixes by all these big labels, right? They're all studio mixes. No one had a problem with that. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, if you're making a mix, it has to be, I have to hear some mistakes, and then it has to be, no, because you used to have studio mixes in the past, and people love these studio mixes by Sasha and Digweed and Saeed and Palau. They all had these studio mixes that were perfect. So, and then they had the computers that actually mix it for them. So I don't even want to hear this, okay? But when you're doing it live, you then have to now translate that and be able to now know how to pair, how to extend, how to take a certain groove, carry it forward, maybe stall it a little bit because the room is not, ready yet, and then you can move on to another sound, and then you can bring it up, bring it down, whatever, okay? But again, it's just like, you just got to bear with me, dude. It's just like, I'm trying to find it, right? Like, I'm really trying to find the passion. Like, you don't understand, dude. Like, when I was growing up, not even growing up, like in between 2001, when I went to Europe, until 2010, like 9 years straight of just finding music and passionate about it and spending time. That's why I have so much music and different genres, because I was so passionate about it. And like, the scene was so different. Now, like, I'm listening to all the places that and it's like, the sound is different. Not only is it different, but it's, when I say different, it's different, but it sounds the same. And the quality is not as great, for the funky stuff. The quality is great for the more progressive, the tech stuff, because it's more synthetic. But with the other stuff that requires more like musicality, it's not as great. The quality is not. You have a lot of like highs that are very dirty, and it's just, I have to go through a whole lot more to find these gems. And that's what's taken away from the passion, because before it was like, yo, gem after gem after gem after gem. Like literally, I would sit and I would listen. I would be able to pick up 30 songs a day within like 2 hours or less. But now I'm picking like maybe 5 songs in an hour, 2 hours, because it's like I'm going through so much music, and it's just like, it's bad, and it all sounds the same, which is weird to me. It's very, 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 very weird. But anyway, so again, I know that I'm not, but you got to bear with me, man. Like I'm just asking, right? Again, it's not about subscribe. It's not about like, yeah, I've dealt with that of like, oh man, if you don't put more, then you're not gonna get as many viewers as you used to have before. Like right now, I'm getting like 200 or whatever viewers as opposed to the 1,000. But guess what? I have to be comfortable with that, right? Because I cannot have that frame of mind of like, oh well, you know, you want to be, you know, you want to have a small pocket, you know, of followers, but then expect to have a whole lot of viewership, right? That dissonance, like opposing ideas. I have to come to terms with the fact of like, you're not going to reach a whole lot of people because this is not it. It's not it. Doesn't matter where you go. If you look at other DJ podcasts, it's the same thing. They don't get a whole lot of views. They're getting like, you know, whatever. So, but I'm also gonna do a set. I'm gonna do a set coming out soon, and I'm also gonna bring out my radio show. So what I'm gonna start doing now is I'm gonna have a weekly radio show where it's radio with the top 5 for the weekend. So you think, okay, what are the top 5 tracks for this weekend? I need some motivation. I'll do the hard work for you and I'll bring it, right? But it's gonna be my stuff. It's not gonna be the stuff that you know that the current people are listening to right now, because it's the tech stuff. It's gonna have tech, it's gonna have everything in there, but it's gonna be the stuff that I enjoy. Again, because I'm the curator, I'm the DJ. It's not for me. I'm the one who's supposed to be teaching, right? So if I have my finger on the pulse, I should be able to provide that information to you and lead you, and not be, oh no, I'm going to put this out because that's what they want to hear. No, it's like that's what you need to be listening to as DJs. So I need to be creating these trends rather than following trends like a lot of these DJs are doing, and producers are just following trends. I'm also working out as well. Been running, you know, I'm getting back into my fitness. So, and as you can see, you know, thinning out a little bit. So I'm looking forward to this new me, right? But again, like we got to get into this conversation, man. Like we have to have these conversations. We have to talk. It cannot just be just like, you know, us just going through this motion of only wanting to DJ and not have the understanding of the theory and, you know, the concepts and the context that play a role in defining this DJ culture. That being said, Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV, we out.